Sony really can't catch a break, can they? 2023 has been merciless for the #1 brand in the gaming industry. You see, it's bad enough that earlier this year they already faced a hack. And what's more is, the information the hackers got was held ransom against them. The same has happened yet again, but this time, the information is a lot more valuable. We're talking an entire terabyte's worth, and it was held ransom for $2.5 million, to which PlayStation refused. And so now the leaks are in our hands. Isn't capitalism great?
Capitalism loves you!
By God, they actually did it. These hackers were true to their word. They leaked a lot of information, and I wouldn't be surprised if we get some more later this morning. But I'm going to feed you as much as possible. You're going to have to save some room, okay? You can't fill your entire belly up with salt today.
Are you challenging me?
Make a little bit of room in that fupa for some of the leaks I'm gonna give you, because there's a lot of them. Insomniac's entire release schedule, the games coming out, what it costs Sony financially to secure these exclusivity deals, all the way down to the entire plot leaked on Pastebin. We basically know everything that's going to happen, all the characters in the game, the release date, what it looks like, and what it's costing PlayStation to maintain. And the information may leave you surprised. Who knows? I want to deliver it to you as neutral as possible, because if we're being fair here, this sucks for Insomniac. They don't deserve this. I mean, yeah, they gave us Mary Jane's jawline, but that doesn't mean they deserve to have all of their projects leaked.
I disagree.
But at the same time, it's kind of a blessing in disguise to know exactly what they have planned in the future, and to expect how woke it will be gives people a lot of time to start preparing themselves. Because this is just one of many projects that Sweet Baby Inc. is going to help out Insomniac with. I mean, I don't understand how people are so easily hyped up for these titles, especially after Spider-Man 2. I hold no hope for the future of Insomniac games, because based on the release schedule that was just leaked, it looks like Insomniac has gone from developing PlayStation classics to now becoming a Marvel game studio. And that's a fate far worse than death.
Take him to
Story time with drag queens.
So it seems a Venom game is planned for the fall of 2025, but I'm willing to bet that's going to be some DLC. Yep! They're gonna try and sell it off as a standalone game, because it's not the first time Insomniac has done that. But hey, you know, that's great, considering they didn't give you enough time as Venom in the long-awaited sequel where he was heavily advertised. You really want to play as Venom? Pay us again in 2025. Alright, fine, but as long as you don't put Mary Jane in that game, Insomniac, yeah, no promises.
And if she's low OP, I don't give a shit.
And then we get Wolverine announced for the fall of 2026. So we're gonna go from Venom to Wolverine, which is hilarious because everybody was expecting Wolverine to come out in about 6 months from now. Everybody thought 2024 was gonna be the year for Wolverine. Whoa, I'm quite surprised myself. We were all way off. Like, way the fuck off. Wolverine is not slated for a while, and I'm betting that's going to launch right next to the PS5 Pro to really highlight the details of the chins of all the male-looking women in the next game. Look guys, we know Spider-Man 2 didn't look anything near next gen, but we promise you, with the PS5 Pro, Wolverine will really look next gen. Alright then, Marvel's Spider-Man 3 is set to release in the fall of 2028. And do I really have to say anything? I mean, we didn't exactly leave off on the best terms in the last Spider-Man game. What with Miles' hideous spider suit, with Sweet Baby Ink's fingerprints all over it. 2028 is a long ways from now. So who knows, good things could happen like Sweet Baby Ink going bankrupt. So I would definitely say Spider-Man 3 has a better chance than Wolverine and Venom.
Put a ticket in, make a name and gay!
And then a brand new Ratchet and Clank game is scheduled to release in the fall of 2029. And again, I'm not really excited. We're not talking about Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal. We're talking about the Ratchet and Clank game, where Ratchet and Clank aren't even the main characters anymore. Because just like with Spider-Man, Insomniac had to have a female share just as much screen time as the other characters, so we had a female Lombax that nobody asked for.
I'm beginning to see a pattern here that I'm not so sure if I like.
And what's more, this is heavily rated G Ratchet and Clank. So the humor's probably gonna make you cringe out 9 out of 10 times because it's designed for children. I mean, I won't lie, I did smile a bit when I saw Ratchet and Clank on the list, as it is the only non-Marvel thing Insomniac will be working on, because the game following that one in 2030 is Marvel's Xmen, which is also set for fall. If you haven't noticed by now, Insomniac really likes to release games in fall. Now, as for an X-Men game, you've intrigued me a bit. I do love me X-Men, since it's almost always the perfect IP to build superhero games around. You can do all sorts of genres with the X-Men franchise, but we know Insomniac. We know how this is going to turn out. It's going to be a third-person action-adventure game. Meanwhile, I'm sitting back here missing the Ultimate Alliance formula and how great that was. How many characters you could play as. That's not the type of game Insomniac makes. We know what they cook, and I highly doubt an isometric action RPG is something they would design. Plus, I'm not sure they would actually do something like fit in over 34 characters for the game. They gotta keep it simple so that they can have it ready, especially since this entire release schedule seems abysmal. I know Insomniac are some of the best developers in the industry, but how long can they maintain consistent quality with a release schedule like this, where you practically have a release plan for almost every single year in fall? How much assets are going to have to be reused? How many bugs are we gonna expect compared to Spider-Man 2? Honestly, I don't know why Naughty Dog is considered Sony's best studio. The content output coming from Insomniac is something I'm not seeing from anyone else other than RGG Studio. And then finally, in 2031 and 32, we've got new IPs planned from Insomniac. Now you've caught my attention. I don't know if I'll be alive by then, and that's the problem. I would rather see new IPs by now. Enough with the spamming of Marvel. We get more than enough Marvel in our lives as it is. I'm starting to think it might cause cancer. Too much Marvel is physically bad for you, and Disney doesn't get enough of it. And by the looks of it, neither does PlayStation. So until we hit the 2030s, expect Insomniac to basically be a Marvel's game studio. And expect all of it to be incredibly woke. The pandering going on in Marvel goes far beyond just cinema and comic books. It extends to video games. But whatever, I mean, honestly, this is not the information you want leaked out to your competitor like Microsoft, who's now getting in on the superhero game fatigue with their recent announcement of Blade. But, you know, unlike Blade, we do have that leaked gameplay of Wolverine. So alas, we have a build to look at, and as you can expect, I can't show it to you. Don't cry to me. I get in enough trouble on YouTube trying to keep you guys pleased as it is, but I can describe to you what I saw. And honestly, what I saw is just simply too early of a build to really say anything. There were people on Twitter already saying it looks disappointing, unable to realize that what they were looking at was alpha footage, just like with GTA 6. Test builds. But again, test builds can tell us quite a bit. The combat is what you would expect, slashing your way past hordes of enemies. And for those of you wondering, yes, there was blood, not gore. Blood and gore are two completely different things. Let's set that straight. I want a Wolverine game with gore. I didn't see gore in the leaks. I just saw little splatters of blood from being cut up by Wolverine's claws, which honestly is incredibly disappointing. I wanted to see motherfuckers chopped in half. I wanted to see Logan covered in intestines, but none of the test builds are pointing to any sort of gore. You know, but we do gotta remember, this game isn't coming out till 2026, so there's plenty of time to fit in all of the limb chopping I'm hoping we're gonna get to see. Because so far, it doesn't really look like that M rating is justified quite yet. But like I said, too early to say. The animations being worked on for Wolverine's character model are mainly what you see. That and some early test runs of combat and wall climbing. The entire voice acting cast was revealed, and I'm not gonna give names because you won't know the majority of them. I don't know the majority of them, but it reveals which characters are in the game. Now, enough with the Wolverine reveal, enough with Insomniac's release schedule. The real interesting bits were found in the licensing terms Insomniac and Marvel have, which was also leaked, and it's brutal. I honest to God cannot believe what I read. Suddenly, PlayStation being desperate to fight off the ABK merger is starting to make a lot more sense, as you can see here. commitments are $621 million comprised of $120 million development commitment for each required title, $30 million marketing commitment for each required title, and $9 million recoupable advance for each required title. Whoa! Insomniac and Sony, what agreement did you get yourself into? That is more than $500 million. I have absolutely no idea how PlayStation has remained sustainable with agreements and deals like this. What they have to pay to arrange an agreement for the use of an IP alongside paying for development is insane. But it's hilarious, isn't it? Because oftentimes the PlayStation fanboys say, Microsoft, just start investing in some new IPs, and I'm looking over here at the $621 million that is paid so that Sony can use Xmen, and I'm thinking to myself, why don't they take that money and go make a new IP? Oh, but it gets better because that's not even the craziest part. Go all the way down to where it says termination, and check this out. Neither party has a right to terminate the agreement for convenience. However, if we do not sell at least 6 million units on PS5 and PC combined of one of the 3 major titles in the first year after its PlayStation console release, either party may terminate the agreement. If we terminate, we must pay Marvel a $9 million breakup fee, plus all unpaid portions of all guarantees. If Marvel terminates, the foregoing fees are waived. The result is that we would not develop any further titles under this agreement, but we can continue to sell all titles released before termination.
You must be some kind of a dumbass.
What did you set yourself up for, Insomniac? You pay them about $500 million, and then you promise them that you will sell 6 million copies in under a year. That level of confidence over the X-Men IP is insane. But what does that reveal to us? Is this X-Men game going to be day one on PC alongside the PS5 version? Because I can't see any other way. Sure, Spider-Man sales make sense, but X-Men reaching those sales numbers on PS5 alone? I don't think so. But now all of those Spider-Man 2 PS5 bundles are starting to make a lot more sense, aren't they? Because not only does Marvel get a 35 to 50% royalty on it, but it's also the fastest way to ensure you get close to that 6 million in under 12 months. I'm not exactly sure how Sony is pulling in a profit on things like this, but obviously they find it a worthwhile investment, otherwise they wouldn't be throwing out that kind of money. It at least shows us that Sony is securing some type of future for themselves. Whether they're winning or losing on it though, I'm not quite certain. What I am certain of, however, is that Marvel is absolutely winning. They can get up to 50% royalty on each bundle sold? That's insane! On top of being given $500 million and 9 to 18% of net sales on digital, 19 to 26% of net sales on physical, 19 to 26% of net sales on DLC. They're pulling in bank off of Sony. Whether or not Sony is pulling the same bank off them, I don't know. With Spider-Man, maybe, but with X-Men, that's not guaranteed. More than anything, this is an investment on Sony's part to ensure they have console units in houses, because these type of agreements are what has Sony selling more consoles than Microsoft right now. Well, either way, it's basically confirmed we're gonna have an X-Men game on PC, and I'm just crossing my fingers. Please be good. Please be good. Please be good. Well, anyway, this was a huge revelation. A big part of Sony's roadmap was just revealed for all of their competitors to see. And yet, somehow, that was still not the worst of the leaks, believe it or not, because if you're able to somehow gain access to the official files leaked by the ransomware group, if you scroll down all the way to the strategic pillars, you can get some info on just exactly how scared PlayStation is of the ABK merger, and how much that is going to bite them in the ass this generation against Microsoft. You see, Twitter made a bigger deal out of it than it really was, because this is everything Sony already said to the FTC in court. So I wasn't blown away by the news. Sony being scared shitless isn't news. They already admitted that publicly, but to see it in these leaks is hilarious. They're still crying about the ABK merger behind the scenes. But even then, you know, I mean, this isn't a Ponytail video, but I felt like throwing some out anyway. So kudos to you who stuck to the end to get the good parts. You see, because we had a PlayStation fanboy bragging about Sony getting hacked, I kid you not.
Even hackers don't care to leak Xbox shit.
My mom!
Really? We're bragging about who gets hacked more now? Is that what we're doing? Is that what the Console Warrior fanboys consider a W now? Nobody found it funny back in 2011, but in 2023, it's considered an accomplishment. The company hacked the most is obviously the best one. Duh! Not the one with the better security, the one who gets breached so easily and accidentally has all of their employees' information leaked. They're the true winners. Now Microsoft knows exactly what they're gonna release, but you know it's a dub on Sony's part. Absolute insanity. Take that stupidity however you will. Anyways, this is a very uninteresting subject. I want to get back to making some songs, so with that being said, consider liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing if you so choose to. And I'll see you in the next one.
Fritongo sucks ass.